One thing they tell me, if you don't speak too good, don't speak too long. That's me. You can see on the list that, or on the flyer out there, they had feeder put on there. They were afraid to put my name on the thing because they'd definitely have to buy lunch for somebody to come listen to me. So I've already got my the wrong one spooled up here, but we'll leave with this anyway. We'll talk a little about our feed yard. We're 50,000 head. We're 85% somebody else's cattle every day. We have a research center. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we're talking about economic outcomes, and that's why we feed cattle. And if we're 85% somebody else's cattle, we have a high percentage of these people will be just like you guys. They'll be retained ownership people. When we look at these things, we look at these economic outputs as we go further along in this presentation, you know, we will see here that we standardize all this stuff, we average this carcass price out, so the numbers, the dollars aren't influencing up or down. Carcass weights and total pounds of feed delivered to each lot were multiplied by average prices, remove temporal component of changes in prices affecting the economic outcomes. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we're doing, and we're looking at 1,500 cattle. They were steers and heifers mixed. They were pulled out actually. And across all weight categories, and I need to get up here, we can see this a little bit better. You know, our weight class is running from less than 800 pounds to over 1,000 pounds, and when we talk about over 1,000 pound in-weight cattle, we're talking about maxed out until 2 weeks ago up to 1,100 or 1,253 pounds. Like Max was talking about, he has a forage ration, he has forage, so he utilizes it. It's something you guys need to look at going forward, and you can do that if you manage your genetics. Average daily gain by in weights. It's pretty ordinary, you know. We know those 900 and those 1,000 pounders are going to gain more than those calves coming in. Dry matter conversion by weight, same thing. You know, there's about a half a pound dry matter intake difference in between those big old steers and the little ones coming in. That's about $30 a head if you look at it on ration prices where they're running today. Closeout weight by in weight. We talked about that $30 a head it costs us for those poor conversions. Max said it too. What would you say, Max, about weight? Don't let that bother you having too many heavies. Pounds pay the bills is what he was trying to tell you. So if we don't have over 1,000 pound carcasses and we go on either a Tyson's grid or U.S. premium beef, we've not done our job. We sort our cattle, all our cattle going in there, going on a grid. We sort it through Max Garrison's Performance Cattle Company sorting system. You guys may have seen it, or Cactus has it, some other major yards have it. But it's basically an algorithmic sorting program that takes the cattle to, we'll run a whole group of 300 to 500 head of cattle. We can sort them into 7 different marketing windows, two-week windows on those marketing periods. So we have 800 pounders that we're feeding or less than 800 pounders we're feeding 160, 70 days, 8 to 9 weights, you know, 140 days. We're maximizing these genetics. These 1,540 cattle were known genetics. They had the capability of, as you'll see on the next couple of slides, of go ahead and carrying those pounds without affecting performance unduly. Days on feed, we get these 1,000 pounders or greater than 1,000 pounders. You can see we're going to average, 100 days on feed. But you can also see on this that we've got some that are raised underneath that. And in this group of cattle, this signifies 53 days on feed with a 1,253 pound in weight. And we'll show you how to do that. We'll talk about morbidity by in weight also. There's not a big difference between the whole thing. Mortality by in weight, it stays about the same as well. And you guys are all wondering, if you're new to feeding cattle, you're wondering why do we have dead cattle out here? You know, we target for 1.5% death loss on the average, but why do we have, if we're starting at 9 and 1,000 pounds, what are we doing? We're pressing the cattle when they get to the feed yard. You know, our job is to put some gain on these cattle and get a good conversion, and you can't do that unless you've got a lot of starch in that ration. So we're going to push the cattle. What we do is we express your genetics. That's what you ask us to do. So we're going to lean on them pretty hard. So all this, when you get to the backside of this, could be atypical interstitial pneumonia or a bloat. And it typically happens to the best performing cattle at the tail end of the feeding period after we've got about $400 worth of feed in it. Just so you know. I get those phone calls all the time. It's not free to do. Okay, so we're pounding on the cattle, we're making them big, and We're going to maximize what we're going to have on this grid. Pounds pay the bills, don't ever forget it. So these are known genetics. These are good cattle. They bred the cattle for genetics and growth. But look at some of these numbers. These 1,000-pounders, we're averaging over 97.5% choice on them. If we run through it, the worst we've got here are those 8 to 9 weight cattle, and they're only running 96% choice. Percent prime by weight, here's the killer. I'm going to pass around, I'm going to pass this around. I'm sorry, I'm going to get your notes.
That's all right.
Probably better than mine.
Yeah, I doubt it. You can't read mine.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this around. You guys just take a look at this real quick. This is a grid premium result sheet I got on cattle that were harvested on the 6th. I got it yesterday. I didn't have a chance to put it in my presentation. And take a look at those things, and I've got some things marked percent prime on them, the yield grade 4s, heavies, the whole breakdown, and the dressing percentage. You can see what the spread numbers on it. Take a look at that, and don't spend too much time on it. It's a lot of boring stuff. But percent prime by end weight. How is this happening? You know, we're over 25% prime on some of those cattle. Those big cattle. Percent yield grade 1s and 2 by end weight. This is where the Charolais cattle got these cattle beat. And this is what we would like to incorporate into these known genetics that we've got. We'd like to catch a little bit more of that yield grade 1 and 2 premium. But it's going to be a balance, and I don't know, Sal will be back there rolling her head. She'll tell me to let it slide here in a minute when I start getting out of bounds, because I took genetics twice at K-State. It's not because I wanted to. I did graduate, and then I went to work as an IBP cattle barn and made it clear up to feed yard manager. So. We're going to run 15% fours. We're going to run 20% fours on those little cattle. But once again, you know, look back. Here's Sally's going to tell me to let it slide. We're going to push a lot of those cattle that are going to be high choice into prime by putting just a few more days on them. A little more maturity, a little more maturity, a little more days on them. But we're not afraid of that yield grade 4. The yield grade 5 doesn't bother me at all. If I don't have 20%, you know, I probably leave a little bit of money on the table. I know I'm leaving pounds on the table. I know I'm leaving some dressing percentage on the table too. The numbers are all real. Dressing percentage by end weight. We talked about that poor feed conversion on these 1,000-pounders coming in, you know, and then we know we've got to worry about dressing percentage also. These things, you know, here at this 63 1/4, we're probably short of the plant average. Plant average is probably running 63.8, something like that. We're underneath all that. But I'm going to tell you one more time, pounds takes care of all that. We're not going to worry about that so much. We got it ready. So this is the bottom line. These are economic outcomes on the thing. Grid premium over live price by end weight. Our biggest grid premiums were in these 8-weight cattle. And you know, we're averaging $5 a hundred over the market. And that choice select spread, like Max was talking about, it's all over the place. So this is over more than 2 years worth of cattle of one customer. It's a year and a half of cattle. These heavy cattle, we're still getting a good grid premium on them. We're just shy of $4 a hundred on those grid premiums. And there's that sheet that you're passing around. I want you to look at that grid premium. It's a $13 a hundred grid premium. Is it $195 a head? $194.80 a head. And they were big cattle coming. Carcass price by end weight. Pounds pay the bill. Max, where are you at, Eric? You were trying to tell us that pounds pay the bills, weren't you?
You can't sacrifice that.
You can't sacrifice the pounds. He's driving for pounds and dressing percentage, and that's going to make up the difference in that quality grade that marbling that he's worried about. But that's just being a business person. These 1,000-pounders, you know, when we're averaging $1,775 a head. They're monsters, and they are. And they're the heaviest figured in there, everything else as well. Cost of gain by end weight. Once again, you know, this is not a 4-H project, guys. You know, we got it. We got it. We know these 650 weights are gonna convert like Galen's do at 5.98. But we've taken these cattle up to more than 1,000 pounds coming in. And his cost of gain out at his place was probably running in that 35 to 40 cent range. These cattle were fed no grain. They were using as a distiller's product, but in our part of the country, the fat is spun out of it. If you know what they're doing with distillers, they want the starch. It's gone. So it's a silage-based ration with a little bit of refuge and wet distillers on it. The cattle, he's targeting to gain, building the ration to gain 2.8. They're gaining 3.5. But we're not hurting the cattle coming in. We're not stunting the cattle. Like Max is telling you, you're taking it easy on this forage ration. Don't try to be a hero out at your place unless you're really good at feeding cattle. Because if you try to be a hero, I've had customers tell me, hey, your cattle fed poorly in the feed yard, same type genetics. Fed these cattle before. He decided to get them up to 1,100 pounds coming in. And I said they really fed poor, and the conversion was in the 7s. And he said they did real good at my place. And I said, what did they do there? 3.7. So we had a lot of liver problems. We had broken livers, things like that. So you got to manage that caloric intake on the cattle. You got to manage it. So our cost of gain is going to be higher, but like I said, it's not for you. We still made money. Those big cattle, if you can do the math on them, if his cost of gain is 30 to 40 cents, and he's taking them up to 1,100 or 1,253 pounds, he's backed the cattle up. He has the same margin that JBS would have owning the cattle through their own feed yards. If they're looking to make a $30 or $40 head margin on selling feed and their corn appreciation in these feed yards, you can get that at your house too, if you have the forage and the facility to feed your cattle, and if you know what you're doing. Why are we so interested in this? And if we're we're U.S. Roundtable members, we're global Roundtable members for sustainability also. Water's a big concern. I'm in southwest Kansas. I'm 50 miles from Oklahoma and 50 miles from Colorado. We're right on the top of Ogallala, and we pump a lot of water. We grow a lot of corn. So this is where the feed yard is located. This is where the cattle were fed and brought in. They're just barely outside that aquifer, but they are. On this operation there's not one irrigation well on it, and it's a considerable amount of acreage. There's no water well on it for irrigation. So we look at sustainability and we look at starch, and we're looking at genetics, and we're trying to figure out where we're all going to fit in down the road, and how do we manage our genetics? How do we manage our cattle? What does make us money? Well, at a feed yard, I got these 1,000-pound steers coming in. They're going to eat a lot of feed, but I'm not going to sell very much corn. But that doesn't bother me. I mean, I make my money by selling feed. That's all I do. I sell feed. I flake corn. I've got some gain on that corn because I'm taking it from 15% moisture to 21. That's where I make my money. I charge you so much a head a day too, But I'm not selling much here. But this is sustainability for my customers. This is sustainability for you guys. Even if you want to take them out here and go to this 900 to 1,000 pound range, if you've got the genetics to do it, you need to do it. You'll make another $30, $40 a head on your cattle. It's just totally doable if you're good at it. If you pay attention to what you can do. To me, it makes no difference to me at all. I'm a hotel. My pens are full. I don't have very much labor on these 1,000, 1,200 pound steers coming in. I pretty much just run a feed truck to them. I have hardly any respiratory problems with them. I do have to watch them. They're super performers. They're big eaters, so we gotta watch them real close so we don't get bloats on or AIPs and things like that. But as long as my pens are full and I've got cattle like that coming in, I'm doing the industry a favor. And you guys are doing the industry a favor as well. These are Gardner cattle, is what they are. And not only are just his cattle, but he's got several customers, and they've got cattle crossed up, with different breeds as well that are doing the same thing. And you guys are able to do that as well. I think it's something that's worth looking at. The deal passing around, where's that sheet at right now? Can you read that? Can you read the prime on it that people haven't seen it?
34 head, 72% prime.
72% prime, 47 head of cattle. And in weight of the cattle, 1490?
Yeah.
1490. You know what the cattle weighed coming to the feed yard? 1453. This is the final step. This is how far over the line, are we going to go? where do we stop at this? And this is telling you, if you got the right genetics, you're not going to need much starch to get your cattle to beat the grid. And that's $198.50 a head over the grid. Their dressing percentage is what surprised me. They make 64-20. I don't know how in the world they did that. I will tell you this: they gained nothing in the feed yard, and I'm serious about that. We had heavies on them. How many heavies were on those things? 15% fours. A little bit green yet. How many heavies? Seven heavies?
Yeah, 7 hits.
What percentage is that? 17?
9.
9% heavies on them,
9%
and they were
heavies.
monsters. But some of those went prime. They brought over $2,000 a head. So that was huge. Now, if I could get out of this thing, I might need some help. I got another one on there that tells about what a feed yard is. Oh, research. This is my partners in my new company. It's a High Plains Education and Research. We just had a grand opening 2 weeks ago. We had 200 people come to see us, and they were much like you guys. There were seed stock operators. There were packers in there. We had the head bar for Cargill there. We had supervisors for Tyson and other packers that we work with. We had drug companies there. We do antimicrobial research. We had everybody from conception to consumption. We had a McDonald's individual there, their new guy that's going to be managing their farmers. The representation that we were talking about as far as this roundtable goes. We had Cargill's person that handles them. But we're a licensed 50,000 head feed yard. Like I said, we're 85% customer cattle. Southwest part of the state. We have a mission statement as well. Improve sustainability and stewardship of the natural and financial